Hello, this is my Crazy X channel. Please subscribe.
My BF 29M of 6 years told me 28F that he'll never marry me because of cheating incident 3 years ago. Story 1-2. My BF 29M and I 28F have been together for 6 years, but friends for 11 years since college. 3 years ago I had a short 1-month affair with a co-worker while BF and I were in LDR for 1 year. I confessed, and although my BF wanted to break up with me at first, I convinced him work through it and I transferred offices to one back home so our LDR was over and we were together again. Lately a lot of our friends from college have been getting married and we've been going to all these weddings for this summer alone, and my friends always ask when BF and I will get engaged and I always just say, oh, I dunno, hopefully someday soon. Now, before the affair we had discussed marriage and my BF always said he wanted to get married one day and that we'd probably get engaged once he finished law school, which he finished almost 3 years ago. But since the affair we haven't talked about it. So last Sunday we were sitting at home drinking wine and watching True Blood when I decided to casually mention how our friends had been joking that we were next to get married but we had to get engaged first. All he said was, oh yay? So then I asked, have you thought about proposing to me? And he said no, which obviously hurt a little, so I asked why and he said because he's never planning on proposing to me. This was kind of shocking to me because when we were younger he told me he wanted to be married one day and have kids. So I thought, well, it's 2014, a woman can ask a man to marry her. So I asked, what if I asked you to marry me, what would you say? And he said he'd say no. So at this point I'm on the verge of bawling my eyes out. So I asked why. I thought you always wanted to be married one day, and this is basically what he said. Yes, I always thought I'd be married one day, but even though these last 2.5 years have been great, I will still never trust you 100%, and I'm never going to put myself in another position where you can hurt me like that again. So no, I won't be asking you to marry me and I won't marry you. I'm not going to ask you this year. I'm not going to ask you in 5 years. Maybe in 10 years my opinion changes. But probably not. I'm not against marriage. I'm just against marriage with you. I'm sorry, but I can't marry a cheater. I'm not gonna put myself in a position where you can devastate me again. I can spend the rest of my life with you and probably be happy, but odds are I won't spend it married to you. If that's a problem for you, I understand, and you're welcome to find a solution that works for you. Is this a normal way of thinking? What do? I want to marry this man. He's basically told me if I ever want to be married I'll have to break up with him and find another guy. TL, Dr. BF of 6 years has told me he can spend the rest of his life with me but he'll never marry me because I cheated on him plus 3 years ago. Wondering if I can change his mind. Update, my BF 29M of 6 years told me 28F that he'll never marry me because of cheating incident 3 years ago. Judging by the comments and PMs I got, I can tell you all hate me, but sorry to disappoint you, this is not the update you want to hear. I spoke with my boyfriend and we came to a compromise. We're not breaking up or getting married. We are getting each other rings to wear, kinda like promise rings. And we are gonna have a barbecue with all our friends for our next anniversary. TL, Doctor, all is good. Redditors reactions. Redditor 1. This seems like one of those half-assed compromises where one or both of you are going to grow to resent each other. You want marriage. He doesn't. So you are settling with a little piece of hardware? Redditor 2, TL, Doctor, all is good. If you say so. I don't know why anyone would make a commitment to someone who won't make a commitment to them because of a lack of trust. This is just going to turn into some major hurt down the line. Redditor 3, sounds like you're both nearing 30 and with 6 years deep are too scared to see what else is out there and having this past half-decade be a waste. I wish you both luck with that foundation. And your promise rings. Redditor 4, so you're choosing to be permanently punished for your indiscretion. You're right. Definitely not the update I wanted to hear. Redditor 5, just like marriage but none of the benefits whatsoever. Wait, how is this a compromise? Redditor follow-up. She gets to shut up about marriage, and he doesn't have to marry a cheater. It's win-win. Redditor 6, so, you'd prefer to be with someone who doesn't love and respect you anymore instead of starting over with someone who thinks you are worthy of love, respect, and the commitment you desire? I think you desperately need counseling, because you obviously have no self-esteem. He literally doesn't think you are worthy of a real commitment, just a throwaway, and you're completely okay with that. Redditor follow-up. Yup, it's too bad she created the conditions herself that led to this. Redditor 7, well, you know, whatever works for you. But man, that sounds like a terrible solution. I can't even call it a compromise. You want marriage, he doesn't, so you're compromising but not getting married. Well, okay then? Ninja edit. Also, getting promise rings as a physical reminder of your affair seems like the worst idea ever. Redditor follow up. You messed up, but here, let's get some rings like we're 12 so you always remember that I will never trust you. Redditor 8. If you stay with him, you are going to be paying for that affair for the rest of your life. Settling on wearing promise rings is not going to change it. Redditor 9. TL. Dr. Neener, I got a shitty ring that means nothing. I'm here to rub it in your faces. So our previous assessment of you was accurate? Redditor 10. LOL at promise rings. Did you guys write notes with check boxes beside them? Redditor 11. Meanwhile at the barbecue, boyfriend put meatball on the grill while staring at the ring, wondering if this is a good call. Then look at no marriage throwaway and think of her cheating. Fast forward 5 years, a kid on the way, boyfriend is happy and stressed because he doesn't know if the child is his. He thinks about getting capital to have a paternity test. 9 months later, he decide to call someone who can help him with this situation. Then the someone say out loud, for the case of 2 days old no marriage throwaway junior, you are not the father. Then no marriage throwaway doesn't bat an eye. Now let the downvote reign. Redditor 12. If you update again, I'd be curious what the resolution was from the counseling. You mentioned reconciliation, but it seems as if you're being the people-pleasing martyr and he's not actually been able to forgive you. Why not? Is it that you're unforgivable and you're not truly sorry, committed to change? Or is he just unable to let go? Surely you had brokered some sort of compromise. It doesn't seem that it's worked. Redditor 13. Wow. That really sucks for the both of you. Your relationship is clearly broken and neither of you are really taking steps to fix it. If he really can't get over it, then you should move on. It's really sad and I feel sad for the both of you. He should get the courage to leave you, or you should get the courage to leave him. Edit. This is not a case where two young people don't believe in marriage and are writing their own rules. This is a case where two people believe in marriage, just not in each other. I urge you to push forward and resolve this issue in your relationship or end it. You should be able to redeem yourself. He needs to learn how to forgive or end this. I couldn't imagine being anything but sad if I were you on the day of this commitment ceremony. This is not the day where you two commit to one another. It's the day you two compromise on your dreams. Redditor 14. Dumb. What's the point of staying together if he'll never trust you? Redditor 15. Your BF sounds very logical and emotionally strong to be able to say what he did in the original post. It was invitable. If you weren't going to cheat with the co-worker, you'll eventually cheat with someone else. Once a cheater, always a cheater. Redditor 16. All is not good. You still want to get married and he is never, ever going to marry you. Nor is he ever going to trust you. So, this is basically status quo with a promise ring, and who does that past high school? And a barbecue. Redditor 17. Face the facts that you did damage to your relationship that can never be fixed. Can you blame him for not trusting you? You're a cheater. All is not well, and never will be until time travel is perfected and you can go back and not duck some other guy. Redditor 18. I think it's going to be important for you to continue to work out the infidelity issues. This stuff takes a long time to get over because it strikes so deep. Your job is to clean up the mess, to always be ready when he has a moment of being triggered. Also, you'll have to be doubly sure you're giving off trustworthy signals, not getting into trouble and letting him know where you are. Redditor 19. As long as you're okay never getting married to this guy, you're golden. Redditor 20. A promise ring means a promise to marry. Since he does not want to marry you, they are not like promise rings. You just want to have him marked as yours. Story 22. Update. FML. 29M just found out my wife 29F of almost 10 years cheated on me 2 weeks ago while I was out of town. Okay Reddit. I've never come to you for anything. But yesterday I got the worst news of life and I don't know where to turn. My wife and I are both almost 30 and we have been married 9 years. She has been the love of my life and we both have never been with anyone else until now, I guess. Like everyone who gets married young, we started out with little money and I have strived my entire life to be a loving and supportive husband to her while building my career so that I can provide everything. We have always been happy and rarely fight. She is my best friend and she has always said we were soulmates. The past few years have been really great financially and we're both pretty comfortable in our careers, so we had finally made the leap to start a family, which we have always wanted together but just haven't really wanted to change the dynamic of our relationship quite yet. Sure, we have had all the life challenges with family death, injuries, taking care of each other and being there for each other in every way, but overall life has been good. So 2 weeks ago I go on a trip to visit a good friend who had moved away recently. I just found out yesterday that my wife had spent a day out with her friends celebrating a birthday, which I likely would have gone to as well, and she got so wasted and high that she claims had her in a state she wasn't herself. Long story short, she had been told by her friends that she was too drunk to drive home. So a mutual friend agreed to take her home, to my home. Apparently he was also wasted and it was decided that it would be best for him to stay in one of our guest rooms. So my wife and a man I don't know were at my home when I was away out of town. She claims that she went into our guest room just to make sure that he had the bed made and somehow he had pulled down her pants and she lied on the bed and they started to have sex. Apparently she said that it was only a few seconds and once she knew what she was doing was wrong had told him to stop. He also realized what had happened and they claim they were just so up and he apologized profusely. Which by no means would that deter me from punching this guy in the face if I ever met him. She tells me then she immediately went to our bedroom, locked the door and went to sleep. The next morning she told him she never wanted to see him again and this was the stupidest thing ever. He agreed and apologized and left. At least that is the story she tells me. I have never had any reason not to trust her. We have had a really good relationship and I've never ever in my life would have worried about her being unfaithful. I am trying to make sense of all this. I really do feel like it was a stupid dumb mistake that she made in a moment of weakness and being under the influence of drugs. But then how do I know this has never happened before? I have gone out of town for work a lot in the past and she has gone on girls' trips with her girlfriends a handful of times on her own. God knows doing what I guess. I guess right now the shock is still too new and I don't want to make any decisions about divorce or trying to work anything out. I feel a little trapped because I love her so much that I know if I decided to leave her that would destroy her and I would feel guilty like in a shoal for leaving. But on the other hand, I'm not sure how I can ever feel the same way about her again. I have never been cheated on. She's been the only person I've ever been with and we had always planned on spending the rest of our lives together. I don't know what to do. I have talked to her a few times and did say if anything were to work out she would have to cut out alcohol and marijuana from her life because apparently that's why she thought she was so foggy when everything happened. Also, I don't know if I would ever trust her again. I could never leave her alone. Every time she does something I feel like I would have to be with her and that is not how we've ever been because we have trusted each other and I have never had to worry about that. The best and worst part about all of this is that this all started when I went to the doctor because I thought I had a urinary tract infection. It burned a lot when I peed. Much to my surprise, they needed to start running a bunch of tests for STDs and thought I maybe have herpes now. I have to wait 7 to 8 days for the official results. I'm almost 30 and have never had to deal with this range of emotions. I'm angry, sad, betrayed, hurt, devastated, confused, and humiliated. My pride is also in question. Anyways, feels a little good to get my feelings out there. I can't go to any of my closest friends or family until I know what I want to do. I need their support right now more than ever, but I don't want that to influence any of my decisions. I really think I need to figure it out for myself if possible, or with counseling, or have some third-party point of views. Maybe people out there have been through exactly what I've been through and have been able to get through it, or have not been able to. I don't know. I don't know anymore. Redditors' reactions. Redditor 1, much to my surprise they needed to start running a bunch of tests for STDs and thought I maybe have herpes now. I'm not a doctor, but that doesn't sound correct at all. Burning urination is not a herpes symptom. It's a symptom of chlamydia or gonorrhea. HSV symptoms are blisters, burning and redness of the skin in and around the genital area. If the only reason you found out about this was the doctor's visit, I would immediately question if you're getting the full truth here. If she woke up the next day, called you up and told you about what happened, my advice would be to work things out without question. There's a lot more to a relationship than perfectly executed lifelong monogamy, and if she brought this to you directly and laid out for you exactly what happened, I would say you have every reason to trust her. I'd also throw in there that alcohol absolutely makes people do stupid things, even if it doesn't excuse someone from having done those stupid things. However, that's not where you're at though. Your doctor's visit created a need for her to tell you something because there's no other explanation for why you'd suddenly get an STD. So it's entirely possible she's been sleeping with other people for a while now. Again, had she come to you directly, I would say she probably is telling the truth, because if she's bringing you information that could cause you to leave her, that honesty is important enough to her to risk your entire marriage over, which shows that she probably hasn't done this before. I can't go to any of my closest friends or family until I know what I want to do. I need their support right now more than ever, but I don't want that to influence any of my decisions. This is a good move. If you tell your friends and family, the marriage will almost certainly end no matter what you two decide. There's a ton of social stigma on both cheaters and someone who would tolerate the disrespect of being cheated on. Your next move is to get to a couples counselor immediately. This should be done whether or not you stay together, since the couples counseling will help you figure out how to separate if you need to. This doesn't have to be the end of your marriage. About 33% of marriages survive infidelity once it comes out. But like I said, my guess is you don't have the full story here, and the only reason you know a thing is because you got an infection, and I'd make sure that comes up straight away in your counseling sessions. Op answer: I am very hopeful that you are right, that it is not herpes. I thought maybe the same thing about chlamydia. The doctor did treat me for those other STDs. I got injections and a few pills to take, believe they were very strong antibiotics. I feel like if I do have herpes, that it would be very difficult to not resent her for the rest of my life, because it'll be something I'm stuck with forever. Redditor 2, your wife is lying to you. Talk to your friends and family. It will help you feel less alone. Don't concern about hurting your wife's feelings as long as you're not going out of your way to do so. One of the consequences of getting caught cheating is that people learn that you cheated. It's not your job to protect her from the consequences of her own actions. If you see the guy she had time with, get answers from him instead of beating him up. See if his story meshes with your wife's. Op answer: I can't help but to think she is lying only because of the situation. It seems like she knew what would or might happen if she invited a guy over without me home. Worst case that scenario, as soon as he pulled down her pants, she should have immediately done something then if there was any sort of misunderstanding. The fact that it continued from there is what is really sickening to me. I would really like to talk to this guy, but at least right now he is not a real person to me. I feel like if he becomes real, then this will become even harder to deal with. Redditor 3, it just doesn't quite add up. I believe what happened is she cheated on you, had no intention of telling you, realized the guy she ducked gave her some kind of STD and it likely would be passed on to you, so she made up this story. She was drunk and high, he took advantage of her, it only lasted a few seconds, she ended it and went to bed. It's like she thought to herself, okay, I'm going to get caught, I have to come up with a story that paints me in the best light possible while still admitting to what happened. This definitely is not good. It took her 2 weeks to tell you. Why? Read the stories in this sub. It's filled with people who thought they had perfect relationships, only to find out the person they thought they would be together forever with was living a double life behind their back. Your wife is lying to you. That much is extremely probable. Now how much more is she lying about? You'll likely never know. Because the only way to find out would be to trust her word, and trusting a liar will get you nowhere. Stop blaming yourself. It doesn't matter if you went to the party with her or not. If she can't control herself while she's out without you, she's a horrible person to be in a relationship with. If I were you, I would erase any thoughts of starting a family with her. I wouldn't be surprised if down the line more of her lies start to come out and you realize you didn't really know her as well as you thought you did. Good luck. Redditor 4. Also, as much as you want to be mad at him, you should be mad at her. She made the vows to you, not him. It is her responsibility to stay faithful to you, not any guy's responsibility to help her. He doesn't know you, so he owes you nothing. If he was so drunk that he needed to stay in the guest room, she should never have gotten in the car with him. She rode home with a drunk driver. That is extremely unsafe. Another note, you said in a different response, Pratofmi thinks that this never would have happened if I was home and went to the party with her. This is not your fault. She made a vow to stay faithful, you should be able to trust her. She should be able to go to parties without you and not duck other people. She is an adult and made an adult decision to drink and overconsume, which is generally not an issue if she is responsible. But clearly she wasn't. That is her fault and her fault alone unless she was Arped, which is a whole different ball game and it doesn't sound like she was. Honestly, I have no tolerance for cheating. It is so selfish. I would like to point out that couples go to parties all the time and don't cheat on each other. I go to work function, parties, bars, dances, etc. and I would never dream of cheating on my fi, drunk or sober. Redditor 5, I'm so sorry. I can't imagine how betrayed you must feel. I think only you can fathom how you go forward from this. The only advice I have is get some space and take some time. Don't rush into anything. It'll take a while to process this and understand your emotions. Tell a friend. It will help to have someone who can be there for you through this time. I wish you all the best, no matter what you decide. Redditor 6, she told you just enough and in just a certain way to keep you from leaving. The truth is probably closer to the planned culmination of weeks if not months of buildup. Would you stay if you knew that it was premeditated and planned and that they had raunchy and enjoyable time followed by sleeping in each other's arms? Hell ducking no. She knows that too, hence the very carefully constructed story that makes what she did forgivable. All cheaters who want to stay in their relationships do this. And nearly all of their victims believe them. Why? Because neither wants to face the hard truths. Your marriage will only be as strong as the lies holding it together. Redditor 7, she was too drunk to drive home but her friends let her leave with a guy who was too drunk to leave your house? I feel like there's either something she's not telling you, or she really never ever needs to drink again, as she and her friends make very poor decisions. I'd suggest more talking, counseling, and maybe spend some time thinking about how much you trust her. I'm sorry. Redditor 8, thank God you don't have kids, hope you got a prenup, if you don't, get ready to pay out the ass to support this worthless W or for the rest of your life. Lawyer up and divorce this worthless W or. She did it once and she will do it again. Unless you don't supporting and paying for some bitch to live in your house and duck other guys. Redditor 9, textbook trickle truth. Doesn't add up. He took her pants off, because she gave him indication it was okay to take her pants off. If she laid back to let him duck her afterwards, chances are she didn't immediately stop him, probably wasn't until after she got off, that she likely came to her senses, if she even had to. She knew what she was doing. If he was too drunk to leave, her friends would have seen he was too drunk to drive her and stop them if they give a shit about her. Plus, what a coincidence that this all happened while you were away on a trip. She didn't tell you immediately after it happened? 2 weeks later? Come on, man. Be smart here. If she cheated and lied for 2 weeks, what's stopping her from lying now? Even if it really was a one-time mistake, how are you going to be able to trust her from here? Redditor 10, it seems like that she invented a story in emergency mode. When you get STD results, check incubation periods etc. to see if it matches with her time frame. Redditor 11, so he grabbed her and his penis just happened to be erect or became right at that moment while he was drunk? She is lying for sure. Redditor 12, I agree with most of the others here that say your wife is lying. Will you honestly be able to trust her ever again, knowing that the only reason you found out about this in the first place is because you ended up having some STD/UTI symptoms? It sounds like she was more interested in keeping it from you than admitting her guilt and figuring out where to go from there. I would want a partner that is a true partner and on my side, not against me. Secondly, I also agree to take your time and really think about things. If you consider getting back with her, staying with her, I would strongly suggest couples counseling. It can really help sort out the real issues that may have led her astray in the first place. Redditor 13, yeah, time for you to pack up and leave. If only you not getting the STDs, she will never tell you that Beale shit of a story. There is nothing to salvage in this relationship. Just leave her. Op answer, I would be right there with you on this had something happened early on in the marriage. She knows exactly how I feel of adultery. The problem is we have been through so much together and I have really grown attached to her family. We were just about to start a family, which is what kills me the most inside about all of this. I have so much more to lose now, but of course I cannot even think of her being the mother of my children right now, if ever again, and it is utterly terrifying. Redditor 14, what's slightly unclear from your post is the fact that it seemed two guys went home with your wife, a mutual friend and an unknown guy, and the unknown guy is the one who did the dirty. So let's think about this logically. Do you have a cell phone? Does she? Is it acceptable to you that she drive with some random guy, even worse, some random drunk guy anywhere without your knowledge? Is it acceptable to you for some random guy, even worse, some random drunk guy to be in your home when you're not there? Is it acceptable to you for your wife to get completely inebriated without you there, or vice versa? See, she didn't just break one of your trusts, she broke several and you don't realize it just yet. I'm sure both of you have cell phones, so she could have called you to tell you she was 1, driving with said random drunk guy very dangerous, and 2, bringing him into your home. Didn't happen. And just about any guy I know wouldn't be comfortable with their wife going anywhere or bringing some unknown guy into their home. Wouldn't happen with the guys I know. That trust just wouldn't be broken. Not for a drive to the store, a ride home, or a salesman at the door. Wouldn't happen. And that goes the other way around too. My male's friends wouldn't accept or allow the same from a woman whom their wives' lady friends don't know. It's a respect thing. So, there's bigger issues here than having a random stick in your wife. Your wife doesn't respect you. And when there's no respect, there's no trust. And when there's no trust, there's no relationship. I would say, sit back, relax, and think logically for a couple of hours. Take some notes. Write down facts about all of the suspicious things that don't make sense over the last few years with your wife. I'm thinking you're going to find more odd behavior like this. In conclusion, I would forgive her if she had told me this happened right away and she seemed legitimately remorseful. But in this case, she waited some 2 weeks to tell you, and after you had to run to the doctor for a hot DCK. Unacceptable. She can give all the excuses she wants about her father and stress and Obama being president. We're all suffering from that one. But I'm not jumping on any random strange because of it. Get your mind right, my friend. Those 2 nuggets that get in the way between your legs are there for a reason. Use them and be a man. I can see you staying with this girl. She's not a woman, so make sure you keep her on point if you do. I don't like this at all. Op answer, all very valid points, and somewhere in a phone call with her I interrogated her on all the other better options that I feel she would have normally chosen. Like go home with her girlfriend and let the random stranger dude that ducked my wife deal with getting somewhere himself. Redditor 15, she was too wasted to drive, so another guy drove her home who was also too wasted to drive to his home? Who decided this? Her friends decided she was too drunk and they had another guy who was too drunk drive her home? Or she decided she was too drunk and then when she got home decided the other guy was too drunk? She went to the room to make sure the bed was made? If the guy was too drunk to drive home that he had to crash at a stranger's house, it could have been a linoleum floor and he would have slept like an angel. And it was only in for a few seconds. Nonsense? And she only tells you after you have to go in for an STD test? This reeks of half-truths and outright lies. The premise of the story, how he wound up there, simply doesn't make sense. She cheated on you, dude, and when confronted about it she clearly lied. Is that the type of person you want to be married to? Can you see yourself ever spending a weekend away from home again without wondering what she is doing without you there? Redditor follow-up, I second that. She went out to party while you were gone and brought a guy home. She only got caught when she got the herp. Her friends didn't drive her home because it wasn't her friends she was planning to duck. Redditor 16, you need some time to just process this. Major stuff. I am so sorry this happened. You guys really need an emergency appointment with a marriage therapist. Probably quite a few of them. Is it possible for you or her to go to residence hotel for a couple weeks or so? It has to be extremely painful to be around her right now, let alone try and think or grieve. Her story sounds really fishy to me, but it may just be the UTI equals herpes thing. If she drinks drugs enough that this can happen, she has to quit immediately. I am sure you know that. You don't have to leave her, but you do have to be able to live with her. Many hugs. This is heartbreaking. Op answer: I actually did leave last night and have been at a hotel. I called into work sick and I've just been trying to deal with all this. She has called me all morning wanting to talk and I keep telling her I don't know what there is to talk about. She is obviously very upset and very sorry and she says she'll do anything to make it right. And yeah, she has already agreed that she would never do anything again if it meant losing me. Pertofme thinks that this never would have happened if I was home and went to the party with her. That clearly would never have happened. She has never seemed unhappy with me and she didn't do it because she says she was unhappy in our marriage or was not appreciated her any of the typical things that I hear about why women cheat or husbands cheat on their spouse. That's why when she says it was a moment of weakness and confusion on the situation because of the state she was in, I want to believe her. Redditor 17. Couple of things. Your wife is certainly lying. She might as well have told you that she tripped over the dog and found herself impaled on a penis. Getting the full truth from her is going to be a nightmare. I know you probably aren't keen on this, but why not ask the other dude what happened? He doesn't have a dog in this race at this point and he will probably tell you exactly what went down. I understand it may be just about impossible to have a rational discussion with the dude, but you need to consider the fact that his recollection of the events may be the only source of even halfway objective information about what all went down. This may help you assess what kind of angle you want to take with the situation going forward. In addition, you need to establish why your wife did what she did. Was it impulsive? Was it something that built up over a while? Is she going through a phase? Does she loathe the idea that she didn't have a chance to run around and be wild after high school? Of course, this means she needs to be honest with you and/or you need to figure out the reality of that night, so it may tie into point 1. Once you establish why it happened, you'll be in a better place to assess it all and decide on what needs to be done going forward, whether it's counseling or whatever. What she did wasn't just a breach of trust, it actually put you in physical harm. Her decision and the ramifications do not begin and end with her. She needs to take responsibility not only for how getting caught affects her but you as well. Best of luck. Just remember that millions of people have gone through this and come out of it okay. It's a life-changing event, but it's not the end as much as a new beginning. Redditor 18. Sounds like good fiction. Redditor 19. It's going to happen again? Sorry op. Redditor 20. Which by no means would that deter me from punching this guy in the face if I ever met him. In that case, be sure to punch your wife in the face first. He didn't marry you, she did. Bullshit. RP innuendo on her part aside. I feel a little trapped because I love her so much that I know if I decided to leave her that would destroy her and I would feel guilty like in a shoal for leaving. I understand the feeling. I've been there, but having been there, I'm willing to speculate that your fears revolve more around her future well-being and feelings of guilt that you'll be liable for how she turns out, than they do around love at this point. Or I could be wrong. Maybe you really do love her more than you hate her for her transgression. But before you decide which, you may want to be clear on what actually happened. It's hard to forgive or not forgive something you're unclear about. I don't know if I would ever trust her again. I could never leave her alone. Every time she does something I feel like I would have to be with her, and that is not how we've ever been because we have trusted each other and I have never had to worry about that. That sounds like a crummy way to live. The best and worst part about all of this is that this all started when I went to the doctor because I thought I had a urinary tract infection. It burned a lot when I peed. Much to my surprise, they needed to start running a bunch of tests for STDs and thought I maybe have herpes now. I have to wait 7 to 8 days for the official results. Question: when did your wife's revelation come about? After you had to go to the doctor, or before? And regardless of which, has she been to the doctor recently? Possibly without your knowledge? I ask because from your original post, it may be possible this is something of pastime for your wife. And you may be hearing about this one-time booze-fueled mistake that lasted 5 seconds because she got a positive STD test and realized she was up shit creek as she had exposed you. Her story as told already reeks of an attempt to diminish her responsibility. Not that I don't think people really do make these kind of mistakes either. But you're going to have to figure that out. Until you do, I don't think you can really make a satisfying choice.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.